Welcome to the Daily Market Outlook. We are about to check the charts and see what the market is offering us today. To start off, we are going to look at what the DXY. So on the DXY, with from yesterday, I said I would like to see sales on the DXY, but with more price action, I could see what some longs, possibly back to what our target, which is this high. So I believe it's time for this high to go on the weekly time frame. If we open the daily time frame charts, we can see that at the moment we are expecting price to the left. I believe we have seen what an inducement, and it's time for what the continuation. If we open the daily time frame charts, what we can see is that the 4-hour chart, we can see that we've mitigated price at this point. We've seen this sell-off, then from there we've got seen a buy up back to the highs. Currently, what we can see on the 1-hour time frame is that what price has taken out a high. We've seen a sell-off. We've seen a build liquidity at this point, but we've not yet run out this high. And we can see that what we had an inducement from here, trapping what some buyers, inducing sellers. So I'm possibly looking forward to some longs back to this highs on the DXY. So today my direction for the DXY will be bullish up to these highs, and I would like to see it what reflects on the other pairs. So when we check gold, what we can see on gold, starting with the weekly time frame. So with the DXY bullishness, I think there's going to be what massive selling in all pairs that have what USD at the end. So I think it might reflect the same on gold, and yesterday's direction also didn't match with the prediction we had for gold. I expected some longs back to these highs, but it looks like that's not what we'll be getting. It could still happen, we could still see some buys, but the probability is low, and I believe we could see it head back to the lows. So if we focus on the daily time frame, what we can see is that what we've mitigated this one to the left, we've come back to the low, mitigated what to this low. What that does is what we are building what liquidity at this low once, twice, 3 times, you understand? And we've got what a mitigation, that's what moved to the highs and caused this what move to the upside. Right now we can see that what price is what at the extreme lows. We could see some buys back to this high, to the top, very possible, but I don't want to be, too held up in that direction, because I believe with the DXY we could see what the sell back to the low, the sells back to the lows. So we should just hold on, be very careful at this point. Let's wait for what an inducement of buys, then we can see the shorts back to the low. Price action is very tricky at the moment. So for EURUSD, hopping on to the weekly time frame, what we can see is that what we are respecting the zone to the left, which has caused price to what sell to the downside and cause this break of structure. At the moment, you can see that this price action is respecting this zone to the left, and it has pushed price to the upside and caused a break of structure. If we move to the daily time frame, what we can see is that from this, after this break of structure, we've seen what price sell off to the lows. We've seen what respect these lows at the moment. If we move to the 4-hour time frame, what we can see is that we've taken out this lows and we have this lows. For EURUSD, despite what we have on the DXY, I believe what we could see what this high school. That's why I still have my target over there. The reason is because I believe before we see price what reaches low, we need to trap what some sellers. And what could happen on Euro USD is either we see what price move all the way to this size, then we see the sell off, or at least come to the side, then we see what the sell off. So I'm just trading the most probable one, which is this highs. So I'm waiting for that bar. With the DXY's direction, what we can see is what sells, and if we open price action, we can see that what we just had this very bullish price action, which has taken out these highs. So it might induce people into buying, and maybe they might be the trap for what the sells. So today's direction, I'm not so yet there. I don't know. Maybe I need more price action, or I'll figure it out maybe tomorrow. But if we move to GBPUSD, GBPUSD on the other hand, I think wait, let me start with the weekly time frame direction. So with the weekly time frame, what we can see is that what we've mitigated this high, and that's caused what price to sell off, mitigated this zone, we've moved to the highs. Then we've seen what some sells back to the lows, then we've what trapped sellers once again and induced buyers. So we have what built liquidity at the side, and I'd like to see what the lows go. So I believe this is where we are headed towards. So on the daily time frame, what we can also see is that after this breakout structure, price was mitigated. Let's go to the 4 to see it clear. After the breakout structure, price mitigated this zone to the left. It caused price to move to the upside, and we saw this sell-off. At the moment, we are in this zone. We are in this zone which we can see is causing price to move to the upside. We also have this liquidity at this point, which we should see go out, but price could sell off. There's still a chance it could sell off because of the amount of liquidity we are building. But if it's to go high, we should see it reach this highs. At the moment, we've seen this breakout structure, we've seen this price action mitigate this small wick, or let me say a zone at this point, and that's caused a sell-off. Then we've moved high. So right now price was very bullish. Let's wait for a true confirmation, then maybe we can head to the highs for GBPUSD. And for our last pair, AUDUSD, starting with the weekly time frame, what we can see is that price is respecting this highs. It has caused price to sell back to the lows. At the moment, if we go back to the daily time frame, we want to reach this highs first. If we go back to the daily time frame, we are looking for the inducement. So we can see that price has taking out these highs. Then from there we've seen this breakout structure, and we've seen price move to the upside, and price has come all the way to the lows. At the moment, what we can see is that we are building liquidity at these lows. We've seen it move to the upside. So for AUDUSD, I would like to see this low go. So AUDUSD currently is the only pair that's lining up with the DXY very well. So I'm really interested in AUDUSD because the direction is very clear. It is too easy. Like you can see that it wants the slow to go, but we're just waiting for the inducement, then the entry. So that'll be all for today's daily market outlook. See you guys tomorrow.